Welcome to Beyond Bosch. I'm your host, Jessica Dahl. Make sure to listen or watch until the end of this episode for a very special announcement. But for now, let's get right into it. Today we have Chris Barker. He is a global product owner at Bosch Power Tools in the Chicago area. Chris, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
Absolutely. So, I wanted to, have you kind of introduce yourself because I feel like a title doesn't say a whole lot. So I'd love to hear like who you are and what you're doing at Bosch right now.
Yeah, gladly. My name's Chris Barker. I'm, as you mentioned, a product owner at Bosch Power Tools based in Chicago. I work in product development for routers, some drywall tools, some concrete construction tools, cut-off saws. And basically, you can imagine a product owner as somebody who works very closely in the development of tools, creating new tools from the ideation throughout the development, and then also the introduction of tools onto the market. And then once the products have reached their end of life, then when they're also removed from the market. So everything about the whole product life cycle is what I and the team, what we were working on for development. Based in the Chicago area. Just moved here about a year and a half ago or so, after spending nearly about 10 years working in our German headquarters in Leinfelden as well. So I'm a father of three, happily married, and my kids certainly keep me very, very busy. So lots to do there.
I'm sure. Yeah. Wow. That's a lot of transition just moving here not too long ago. And we were talking a little bit before we started recording, and your kids are pretty young, right?
Yeah, I've got 8, 6, and just turned 3. So it's a busy household for me and my wife here, but we wouldn't have it any other way. It keeps us on our toes. Lots of activities, but I mean, it's a joy. I mean, we love having our kids, love being around them and everything that entails.
I love that. That's awesome. That's great. So how did you, I mean, twofold question, I guess, like how did you end up in this position? And let's start with that. How did you end up in this position?
Well, for the current role that I'm doing here in Chicago, you probably have to go back a little bit before that. I was working as a product owner also in our Leinfelden offices in Germany, and one of the product categories that I'm responsible for, together with the team for routers. We have a lot of expertise here in the North American market, a lot of really good colleagues, engineers, purchasing, et cetera. And the main market for us for this product was located here in North America. So there was a decision made at that time to relocate a part of the team, that being me in this case, here to the majority of the team here that was in North America, to be closer to the target user, to the target carpenters, but also to the team. You can do a lot remotely, online, teams back and forth. This is really good, but it doesn't replace the need to actually be in contact, physical contact, proximity with each other. You have a lot more synergies that you can realize, and that kind of led to me coming over to Chicago to work on this project together with the team. It's been a lot of changes that have been associated with that, both personally and professionally, but it's also a really great opportunity. And that's kind of what ultimately led me here to, about March of last year, coming over to Chicago.
Wow. Wow. I can see that it being very beneficial to be in person. And plus there's the time change, right? That probably caused some friction. But I want to hear more about what you were saying, like being closer to the target carpenters and the target users. Like, give me a little bit more about what does that mean for you as a product owner in this whole life cycle that you described in the beginning?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously we make products not for us or not for engineers or not for whomever. We make it for people who are using these tools to make money and ultimately to support their families, to support their lifestyle. So, I mean, for me, it's a no-brainer that you have to understand who your target user is. It seems simple and easy to understand that you're making something for somebody else. Well, shouldn't you go out and ask that person what it is that they want? And we spent a lot of time in the pre-development, going out and talking to different users, to different carpenters, making sure that we understand what their challenges are, what their difficulties are. Most of the time, we're out there just kind of observing. And we always kind of preface it a little bit that we kind of have to make ourselves look like we don't really understand what it is. We have to kind of put any preconceived notions that we have to what they might like or what they might use a certain tool for on the back burner and really put them in the focus. And a lot of the times we even say to them afterwards, okay, we asked a lot of questions where it looks like maybe we don't quite know what it is we're talking about, but it's more that we want to hear from you what it is that you're thinking, what it is that you're saying, and we're just there to observe. And oftentimes you'll even get somebody who might say, oh, I really like how this grip feels. This is really, really good. And saying, oh, I'm holding it up top here. But then when they actually go to use it and they're holding it in a different way. So you have to kind of
Mm,
have the observational aspect of it to interpret what they're saying, but then also see what they're doing.
mm,
And sometimes they don't always match up, and that makes that a little bit more challenging. Okay, what do I pay attention to what this person said or what this person did? And
yeah.
this is kind of a really interesting balance. And I mean, you only get those things by going out and talking to carpenters. I mean, they have to tell you what they want. And like I said, we don't make the products for us, we make it for them. And if we do it for me, well, great, I might like it, but I'm not the one going out and buying this and using this for my day-to-day work. So it's
Yeah.
really important that we do those things.
Yeah. So do you actually are you somebody who does that? Goes out and talks with the customer?
Yes, I do this myself. I'm not the only one. There's a team that we work with together. No good team can be set up unless you have a large multitude of backgrounds, of functional expertise, of different people. So we try in our team. The primary responsibility is with the product manager and the product owner. But we also have a huge benefit to having engineers going out, quality going out, so that they can kind of hear it from the horse's mouth rather than secondhand from us. So we try to take the team out as much as possible to get them incorporated into this, but primarily it falls back to the people in the team who have more of a marketing, more of a business background. But certainly there's a benefit for everybody in the team to be out there.
Yeah, yeah, that makes total sense. So, do you feel like, I mean, I know we've talked before and you have a background, a family history, right, of in construction from what I understand. Do you feel like that one, I'd love to hear more about that and let the audience in on that. And also, do you feel like that has influenced your position now?
Yeah, it definitely has. I mean, I kind of grew up a little bit around residential construction, and now a little bit of vacation home building and renting these out. So with my father and my brother-in-law, my sister, all working in this company now, I grew up on job sites. I can explicitly remember, after a football practice or basketball practice, going out with my dad, doing surveying shots for the land. And, I'm there as a 12-year-old boy who has no desire to be there whatsoever, holding, a measuring stick so he can take elevation shots. And he's saying to me, hey, hold it upright. Don't hold it. I can't get the reading there. And I'm just thinking to myself, man, I don't even want to be here. I want to go home.
Uh-huh.
And just working on job sites, being around a lot of construction workers, it certainly enables you to understand, to put yourself into their shoes to a limited extent. I was the gopher, for lack of a better word, running
For
around, hey,
sure.
get this, carry this up the ladder, do that, dig that hole. But it helps you to appreciate what these guys are doing on a job site, to understand, the sequence of which things are done, of how you're going through of building a home, the timing, everything that goes in, the attention to detail. So I think all of these things at the time, I never thought about it whatsoever. And interestingly enough, years go by and I start working at Bosch Power Tools and I'm realizing that, oh yeah, hey, I understand how this is done. Like maybe can't do it myself, but I understand the idea behind it and what needs to be done. And I think also an important thing is that, when you're talking to construction workers, you're talking to carpenters, um, it certainly helps if you can be relatable, if you understand where they're coming from and some of the challenges. Like I said, I wouldn't want to say that I could even come remotely close to doing it, but to be able to have a healthy dose of, understanding for them puts you in a better position to have a conversation with them on eye level about different things, as opposed to maybe coming from an academic standpoint to where maybe you're not as relatable in some instances there.
Yeah, absolutely. I can see that for sure. I know I used to work in customer service, and I would work with the team actually at a part of Bosch, and I'd work with the team who was doing repairs. And
Mm.
if you didn't go and spend time with them, actually with what they have to do, you didn't understand. And they also didn't really care to help you help them because there was no trust built. It was just like kind of like front of the house, back of the house kind of a
Yeah,
feeling. And I think that that became one of my goals was like, I'm going to spend more time in the back. I'm going to spend more time in the back because I need to understand what they need from me.
right.
And then I can provide the right things for them. And I think that's
Oh,
kind of
absolutely.
what you're saying there. I think that goes a long way for sure.
Yeah, I mean, and for for some woodworking tools like routers, for example, they're not a complex tool in the development. There are certainly challenges throughout the development. The complexity arises in the different use cases that they're used for. And I think it's all the more important for tools like that to where there's so many ways that the tool can be used for even for different user groups here, that if you come across with, that you kind of know what you're talking about, or you can talk with them, in a certain level, at an eye level, it makes that conversation a lot more productive. And ultimately, there's a lot more trust and understanding mutually from both sides. And if you don't have that, it's not to say that you can't do it. You certainly can. It just requires a little bit more effort and a little
Yeah.
bit more understanding on that side. But I mean, for sure, that whole background, like I said, I never thought at the time, I was kind of begrudgingly doing these jobs,
Yep.
helping out, and it was a good way for me to get a little bit of spending money. I'm also helping out. But yeah, at the time, yeah, I didn't think that, oh, this is going to help me with a future job down the road. But lo and behold, it certainly did.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of how life works, right? I think I need to play this episode for my 12-year-old son right now, who's sometimes having to begrudgingly do some things he doesn't like to do.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you just came from Germany. What
Mhm.
what brought you to Germany? I kind of want to go back a little bit in your timeline. I think we have a gap here. We talked a little bit about your growing up and then
Mhm.
how you are now, where you've landed. But what brought you to Germany, and how much time did you spend there?
Yeah, so I moved to Germany probably about 2011, 2012 or so. I finished with my undergrad at Ohio State. And after I finished with that, I moved to Germany, and always kind of had the thought in the back of my mind that, yeah, maybe I might like to do a master's, some higher education there. It wasn't a great time to find a job in 2009, 2010. So I kind of was, what do I do here? I'm in between here. I had met a girl also in Spain during a study abroad at that time. So we had a bit of a long distance relationship going on at the time, and just kind of said to myself, well, I don't really want to, be however many years older and regret not trying to do something. And I ended up going to Germany, never actively making the decision that, oh, I'm going to move to Germany. It kind of just happened. And I, at that time period, just decided to do it, took a chance on it, and enrolled to do a master's at the University of Hohenheim, which is just in a suburb of Stuttgart, Germany. And through that master's, ended up getting a working student internship at another area of Bosch, and that led ultimately to Power Tools and into a role that I did before, and now to the role that I'm doing now. And I think I lived there in total almost 12, 13 years.
Wow.
And yeah, never with the intention that, oh, I'm going to
Yeah.
live there for 12 years. It just kind of organically happened. And
Yeah.
like I said, I didn't want to regret not trying not to do it. And I certainly don't regret it now. I mean, I wouldn't have changed anything that we did. I mean, even though there were certainly hardships at that time, and you have that at any point of your life. But yeah, the strange thing, if I look back, never actively making a decision, oh, I'm moving to Germany. It kind of
Right.
just organically happened, and one thing led to the next, and then I put myself, I think I put myself in a position to be able to take advantage of opportunities that presented themselves. It wasn't for a lack of hard work or anything like that, but certainly there's, hard work and luck and opportunity come together, and that's kind of the perfect storm to be able to capitalize on some of those things. And yeah, like I mentioned, one thing kind of led to the next, and I feel like it's almost been that way for the last 15 years or so for me. That hey, things come up, and you're kind of faced with the decision: do you act on it or not? And for the most part, so far, I've acted on it, and it's led me, I would say, in a good direction, with yeah, everything that comes with that. But yeah, definitely a crazy journey that back in 2009, 2010, I never foresaw this happening whatsoever. So that's just what happens with life, I guess.
Yeah, totally. That's so wild that it was like, well, I'm just gonna check it out, and then 12 years, in total later.
Yeah, and I
Um,
even thought, I mean, I say, okay, if it doesn't work out, worst case scenario, I come back here and then, I'll start for a job or I'll do some grad school. I always had the intention that I wanted to do some grad school, work there, and then the opportunity came to do this in Germany. And I mean, interestingly enough, I remember when I was applying to grad school in Germany, I had to do yeah, like a language proficiency test. And I remember walking into a language school at the time in Stuttgart and talked to the guy in somewhat broken German at the time to say, yeah, I would like to take a preparation course for this German language entrance exam for the university. And then he said to me back in German, he said, "Yeah, would you like to teach English?" I said, "Teach English? I don't want to teach English. I want to take a German class. I don't need
right.
English, you know." And I'm thinking, do I want to take an English class, right? I
Yes.
said, "No, I don't want to take an English class." And he says it again, "No, would you like to teach English?" I said, "No, I want to take this language preparation." And then
Oh,
it dawned on me. He said, "Oh, he's asking me if I wanted to, teach some English here." So while I was preparing to take this German class, so I could enter the university there, I was also able to teach a little bit of English to earn some money on the side there to kind of help
yeah.
just offset some expenses. And that was really the first instance of how I actually was able to stay in Germany over the 3-month visa period. Um, but yeah, I mean it's wild, you just have an opportunity, and my misunderstanding led to this. And the funny thing in the end was that I think a year after I started with my grad school, they actually got rid of the German language requirement. So
What?
I would have been able to do it entirely in English.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, in the end, it was still good. It helped me to learn more German. It exposed me to something that I never thought I would do, which was teaching Germans English. But it was a good opportunity. It helps you to reach a goal, and yeah, it's just a whirlwind of events there.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. It's so good. And I mean, and your wife, is she German?
Yeah, yeah, she's from
So that
Stuttgart.
probably
Yeah.
helps with that as well, right?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I wanted to, while I
And a
was there,
passion
it
we
was
all
important to
share
me that I
for what we
could
could accomplish
integrate
together.
and that I
Yeah.
could be a part of the society there, culture, etc. And I felt for me that, the best way to be able to do that is you have to learn the language. And you
Mhm.
have to, if you go to the bakery and you want to talk to them and you're just having a small conversation about, hey, what a nice day it is out here. Yeah, did you see this on the weekend? If you're not able to communicate there, then your interaction is limited to, okay, I'll take that pretzel. Here's
Yep.
€2. Thank you. And
Yeah.
I always wanted to, at least feel like I was included into the society there and not kind of
Yeah.
as an expat on the outside looking in to where you miss out on that whole interaction.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. That's great. So you never saw yourself doing any of those things, but
No,
I want to know, what did you think you were going to do? Like, what was your childhood aspiration?
oh man. I don't know. I'm sure at some point, like every young boy who's involved in sports and everything, they're like, oh man, I'd love to do this and love to do that. And those very quickly, when I didn't grow any more than what I did, those aspirations are gone. And I was clearly also wasn't good enough. But I mean, as much as, my son right now, I think, I don't know, if you asked him what he'd want to do, it'd probably range from he wants to be a soccer player or he wants to be a fisherman or something like
Yeah.
that. I'm sure that I had aspirations like that, but I mean, I couldn't say that I said, "Oh, I wanted to do this career or that career." Um, I think for the most part, I was probably more driven to do something that I liked, that I enjoyed, that isn't viewed so much of, hey, this is a job, it's nine to
Mhm.
five, and then I clock in and clock out.
Mhm.
Because there's plenty of those. I think my dad always emphasized, hey, you should try to do something that you like so that you don't wake up on Monday morning and not look forward to going to work. And of course, there's always things that you enjoy or don't enjoy in your job. And I think that probably more than anything kind of just said, hey, no matter what I'm doing, be it, working in power tools development or anything else that could have been a possibility, was to try to find something that, you enjoy for the most part. And you don't wake up thinking, oh man, I really don't want to go there. But in terms of a specific career or anything that I wanted to be, I couldn't say that I recall something definitively, other than
Sure.
like childhood dreams that, every kid has that,
Right.
my daughter probably wants to be, I don't know, like Taylor Swift right now. I said, well,
Right.
good
Yeah.
luck.
And it changes as you go. Yeah, for
Right.
sure. For sure. Do you feel like your dad was someone who influenced you?
For sure. I mean, both of my parents, I mean, a lot of hard work and dedication and not giving up on things and, seeing things through. If you start something, you finish it. Things that I also try to instill in my kids now, hey, if you start a certain sport that you're doing or a certain whatever it might be, art class, dance, singing. And even if you don't like it, hey, we're going to do it to the end of this season. And then afterwards we'll decide, you want to sign up, you need to see it through. And those are, things in terms of like commitment, work ethic that certainly from both of my parents that I learned. And they were
Yeah.
perfect role models for that and both things that they do as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's really good. What do you feel like is something that you're really proud of?
My family, my kids for sure. Um, I think, being a father of three kids, you look at them each day and, just last night, my wife and I are sitting on the couch with all three of them right next to us, one on side of her, the other one in between me and her, and then the other one on the side. And despite all of the chaos and, yelling and all that stuff that goes on with young kids, you were just kind of looking at each other and thinking like, okay, you have to kind of remember those moments where they're calm, where they're, wanting to snuggle up next to mom and dad because those are fleeting moments. My sister, she has kids that are uh, about 10 years older than ours at different age points. And she said, yeah, I mean, you'll miss those times. So certainly my kids, I think that I'm proud that I took those chances to go to Germany, even if at the time I didn't really view it that way. It was kind of just, yeah, I'm going to do it. I think that would have been easy to not do it. But then ultimately, I think I'm looking back and maybe wondering, what if? Why didn't I
Mhm.
do that? Um, going through grad school in a foreign country, learning foreign language at this time, those were all things that weren't easy. Some were easier than others. Some were more difficult, but I mean, those things for sure. And just, I think, yeah, willing to act on an opportunity and not wanting to have any sort of regrets. I mean, those are things that I would certainly pass on to my kids the older they get and tell them to say, hey, opportunities present themselves and there's two paths that you can go. Make the choice that you won't regret. Don't do the one where you think, oh, I might regret this. I think those are things for me that I can be proud of. I mean, my wife and I together, it wasn't just my decision to do these things. So I think, yeah, I mean, those decisions, obviously my kids, but those are probably two highlights for me for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. That's wonderful. And you kind of just gave me some advice. I feel like throughout the whole episode, really, you've been giving really good advice as you're sharing your life experience. But I always ask everybody on the show, like, what's a good piece of advice? It could be career or personal that we can leave with the audience.
I mean, yeah, like I just said, I mean, don't leave any regrets there on the table. I mean, if an opportunity presents itself, don't be reluctant to take it, even if it, in my case, results in you, moving across the ocean, across the Atlantic to Europe. I mean, there's certainly difficulties there being away from my family. But I mean, if I look at all the opportunities and benefits that arose from that, I mean, the biggest thing that I can share with somebody else who might be in my situation or in a similar situation is that, yeah, don't let yourself have any regrets for saying, oh, what could have been if I would have done that. And I think that I don't regret a decision that I made for 1 second. Um, Sometimes I wonder, okay, what would my life have been like if I would have made a different decision? But really, you can't even think about that because it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. You can't change it. And you
Yeah.
make the decisions that you make, and then you go forward. And I think, in addition to the not wanting to have any regrets, I think you also have to be really open to different possibilities. And growing up in Central Ohio, I wouldn't say that I had any thought ever that I would live in Germany for 12, 13 years, or however long it was. I knew that I wanted to do some traveling. I have a family that my grandma was from England. My mom was born in England, aunts and uncles who lived there as well. So I have family that's around in different parts, and that was always something appealing to me to, make potentially live somewhere else or study abroad and do those things. But I think that you really just have to be open to all of these things because you never know what's going to happen. And, if you work hard, you have these opportunities, and then you're in a good spot where you're prepared and there's a little bit of luck. And then that's where, good fortune and good opportunities arise.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree. One thing I wanted to, as we wrap up, kind of getting back to the tools themselves, there is a lot coming up, right? I feel like how many launches are you as Power Tools doing right now?
So I think that there were 30 that we just announced here in North America, I believe at the beginning of October. So just, a couple of weeks ago. And there was 30 last year. There'll be similar numbers coming up in the future. So when one project ends, there's another one that starts. I mean, we just finished with a palm router that came onto the market just at the beginning of October here in North America, in September in Europe and other markets. And before that project's even finished, the next one has started, and the next one as well. So I mean, it's a constant cycle of development. I enjoy it though. I mean, it's really a great thing to see when you work on a product for a period of months and the product comes out on the market and you can see it in the local hardware store and you can see it on the shelf. And I can think back to myself and the team and think that I remember when this was just an idea on a piece of paper or 3D printed models that we had and we took out and talked to guys. So those are really rewarding experiences, and there'll be lots of more tools to come. A lot of work to do, but I mean, a lot of really exciting time for us as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I just actually bought my husband Bosch router and router table. He's been getting into woodworking more and more, and it's just like, well, here we go. I'm like, there's more tools coming out, so
Absolutely.
he's very excited.
I can
Um,
only recommend those as part of the tools that we're responsible for the routers. I mean, they're great tools. We have a great heritage with woodworking routers here in the US and elsewhere. So you made a good choice there.
Thank you. I mean, you got to support the brand.
That's right.
That's great. Well, this is so great. It's been such a good conversation, and I really appreciate you taking the time, especially in such a crazy season of launching and so much work going on. But this was great, and just thank you so much for being here.
Yep. Thanks for having me.
What a great episode. Thank you for staying with us for a special announcement about the future of Beyond Bosch. First, I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to each and every one of you for being a part of this journey over the past 5 years. We've had the privilege of interviewing incredible guests and taking you behind the scenes, revealing so much more than you thought you knew about Bosch. As with all things, there is a time and a season, and our season for this podcast has come to an end. It's a bittersweet moment as I sign off for the last time. Throughout these episodes, we've listened to your feedback and heard your desire for more engaging content. With this season wrapping up, I'm excited to announce that while Beyond Bosch may be concluding, our commitment to delivering inspiring content continues. We're shifting gears and focusing on new ways to ignite your passion and energy around our products and services. And most importantly, the incredible people who make this company who we are. So, stay connected with us. Be sure to follow along at Bosch USA on any social platform as we usher in this new chapter. We'll be sharing fresh stories, insights, and updates that will keep you connected to the Bosch community and all the exciting innovations on the horizon. Thank you once again for your support, your stories, and your enthusiasm. It's been an honor to share this journey with you. Until we meet again, keep exploring, keep innovating, and celebrating the incredible work our Bosch family and the passion we all share for what we can accomplish together.